Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Welcome to another episode of Breaking Solo. You are in for a treat today. Annie Figenshu, and she is a fabulous individual. We are story brand guides, and she was my onboarding coach.
Yeah.
So, Annie, welcome to the podcast. Tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Donna. Well, yeah, my name is Annie Figenshu. I'm the owner of Downstage Media, and I know that a lot of companies spend so much time on creating their content marketing, and they don't spend a lot of time evaluating whether or not it actually works because they're always going on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So what I do is I usually sit down with the face of the brand and whoever's actually creating the content, and we figure out how it can actually move the needle on your business. So you're not just posting for the sake of posting, you're actually creating content that's going to help build your business. That's the kind of stuff that I do.
That's awesome. And that's
you.
the kind of stuff that everybody needs.
I mean, it's just so hard because we're being asked to put out all of this content all the time. And I feel like you have the subject matter expert, right? You've got that person on the brand. And usually they're like the founder of the company. And then you have the person whose job it is to like figure out how to get it on LinkedIn and how to get that podcast out and how to put it on YouTube. And they understand like all the little nitty gritty tactics, but you oftentimes just need somebody who's like outside of the world to say, hey, if we need to do all of these things, let's just focus on this thing because this clearly plays to your brand strengths. And let's focus on this thing because this is where your audience is hanging out. And maybe we can let some of that other stuff go. I just think that we're just being asked to do too much.
I agree.
Especially like as solopreneurs, it's too much.
I just posted this morning on LinkedIn that we keep telling ourselves and each other that it's all about consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I question that because I went for 5 days without posting.
Mm-hmm.
Not intentionally, but it just happened. And the world didn't fall apart.
Yeah. I mean, I will tout the importance of consistency over because a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, what's the best day to post on LinkedIn? Or what's the perfect time to schedule my email to go out, right? Like they're asking me, and I'll be like, you know what? How about you just put the email out regularly, and then after a while, we'll figure out the best time. And then after a while, we'll figure out the best days. But let's just figure out the workflow first before we get too freaked out about the tactics.
Yeah. Good advice. All right, Annie, tell us, what inspired you to go into solo business?
Didn't think it was possible for me to work for a company. And so here's why. So I kind of came about marketing a little bit differently than other people did. I was a performer. I was an improv comic for about 15 years. And I was in a show in New York City that had a rule, which was if there was more people on stage than in the audience, they would cancel the show. There were 5 of us on stage. The amount of times that the show got canceled because there were 5 or less people in the audience was so demoralizing that I just started thinking like, how do we get more people to the show without realizing like, oh, that's marketing, right? And so I also had 2 little children at the time, and I had a husband at the time who was traveling like 200 days of the year. So I just didn't think that I could make money doing this marketing thing while going to an office, right? Like so I started freelancing because when I was in the show, then I started learning about this new thing that I had heard called Twitter and how many companies were using it to bring in more customers. And I was like, I think we could get more people to come to our show if we figure out how to use this tool. And so I started learning about that like at nighttime and nap time when my kids were asleep. And then I just started freelancing. People would be like, "Hey, I've got a show coming up or I've got a new book coming out. Like, can you help me get like sell more tickets or sell more copies?" And I just thought, I can't work for a company. I didn't understand how it could work the with my life. And having been an actress, like it was never anything in my mind to ever have a corporate job. So I just never did. And like none of the people around me had a 9 to 5. Like it just wasn't in my world. So it was just the kind of a thing where it's like, yeah, like if you want to do something, you have to just do it yourself. You just have to build it.
Very cool. So, and I so get that because of your background. That just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's completely illogical and unrealistic. Like it was later on, like maybe 5, 7 years later, I was like, oh, I didn't have to like I could have gotten childcare. Like there's options available, but I don't know why. I was like, this is clearly impossible. I can't, there's no one's ever no one solved this before. I must do it myself. Like, I don't know why, but that's where I was.
That's great. So tell me, what's been your biggest challenge on your solopreneur journey? And have you overcome it? Or is it still a challenge?
Okay, so I would say probably the biggest challenge has been in the past year and a half. And maybe just because this is fresh in my mind, but like my divorce went through in July, but that was obviously for so many different reasons. But I think from a business owner, what became very, very difficult about going through the divorce was um first of all, it is expensive as all get out, right? So I just felt for about a year and a half, and I still feel it now. So like your question, do you feel like you've solved it? No. I feel like I have tigers chasing me a lot. And I feel like those tigers are legal bills, right? I had the goal in 2025 that I wanted to end the year divorced and debt free because so many women, especially, go through a divorce and their finances are decimated. And I just didn't want that to happen. And I knew that that I just had to double down on my business. And I just had to really focus on making sure that my business was not just was really a viable thing that could help me get out of a situation that wasn't great. But then also just what makes divorce very difficult is that all of a sudden you get handed this full-time job, which is like going through a divorce. So anything between the meetings you have to have and the 4-hour mediation sessions, like just all this stuff just takes time, right? And then it's also destabilizing. Like my children and I moved, and emotionally, of course, it's a ton of upheaval. And so all of that made for a very difficult time. And I have to say, I am so grateful to my clients who stuck with me, who knew that I was in some kind of a topsy-turvy situation, right? That they could see like, oh, her Zoom background was different. And now it's very clearly this, like, okay, she's literally in a different place now, or she's literally in different places. And I had a number of clients who stuck with me, and I am so grateful to them for being able to see how I could still help them, even though they knew that like she's got some stuff going on, this one, but we're still finding value in what she's able to help us with. So I'm so grateful they stuck with me.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, good for you. And I hope those tigers stop chasing you soon.
Holy smokes, I know, but I do feel like I built some stamina. But woof.
Yeah, you would have to. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
It's like I think anyone who's listening to this, right? You get it. It's so hard when it's just you or you and a tiny team, like whatever it is. Like every so often I'll have content creators that I'll tap on the shoulder to give me a hand, or for a while I was working with a VA, right? But it's pretty much like a one-woman show. And I think for you listening, right? If you're also a solopreneur, like you get it. It's so hard because so much of your life is wrapped up in your business. As no matter how hard you try to separate them, you can't. So at the end of the day, it's all on you, and that is tricky for anyone.
Absolutely. So, do you have a niche that you focus on? And if you do, how did you determine what that was going to be?
Yeah, what I have found is that I work with a lot of companies where it's the founder who's the subject matter expert, and maybe they're keynote speaking, maybe they're writing books. Um, Sometimes they think of themselves as thought leaders, sometimes they don't, but they have a business and they're the face of the brand. They're the face of the business. And it seems to be that those companies are oftentimes in the like leadership and development space, but not always, or like culture space. But somehow or other, people who are the heads of the company and oftentimes find themselves on stages really resonate with what I do because I do speak a lot. I have written I've written a book. I wrote the book Simple Social Media. I have a guest chapter in a book. I've got experience on stage. They just sort of know that I know that world, right? So what it's like to be the face of the brand and then also to try to use your content to grow your business, right? So I've found that those are oftentimes the companies that I work with. They gravitate to me and I gravitate to them.
Yeah. So they just kind of found you and said, "This is my girl."
Well, I mean, they don't I would love to say that. I would love to say that they just Google who's my girl and I come up. But oftentimes it's because of, well, I do think that my content helps people find me and vet me, and then other people that I work with. So a big part of how I spend my days and my weeks are a big part of that is one, creating content, two, is networking. So I make a very big point to be very active in the communities that I'm in so that way I can get more referrals. That's really important to me. And I feel like then because I have content, then when people refer me, then those people then can take a look and be like, is this gal legit? And then they can decide whether or not they think I'm legit and whether or not they think I'm their vibe. And then the third thing that I do is I spend a lot of time on money making activities. So writing proposals, having sales calls, that kind of stuff. So those three things together help bring more people into, I mean, to use marketing speak, my pipeline. But I would love to say that they just ask, Alexa, hey, who's my gal? And I come up,
And they
but that
say,
is
"Yeah,
definitely not the case.
I'm going to try that."
See what happens.
So, do you see any industry trends that you think the solopreneur should be paying attention to right now?
I do think that solopreneurs should very much be paying attention to in-person opportunities, right? To actually go to the place, get to the conference, meet the person in the coffee shop. Like, I think this is absolutely vital right now in order to preserve relationships with people. I noticed this a couple of years ago when we were all coming out of the pandemic, that it seemed as though live conferences were so exciting to people and people were so energized by them. Even people who are introverts were like, I know I'm going to have to spend 4 days after this just kind of like being quiet and not talking to people, but
Right.
it's going to be worth it to me. I don't know what that world is like because I've never been an introvert and I don't understand. I get it that people go through that, but that's not my experience. But I do think that fostering in-person relationships is vital. So solopreneurs will do themselves well to take the time to meet people in person, shake their hands, give them a hug, like know what that vibe is like, share a meal. I think it's vital.
Yeah. And because of the pandemic, we got away from that. And then it became comfortable to stay away, to just sit in our offices in front of our computers.
Yes.
Yeah. So I I agree with you 100%. Get
But I
out.
mean, like, it's so great. Like, think about when you and I were able to meet in real life. It's a totally different thing. And then you can tell then when there is stuff that I'm putting out that's like, that doesn't totally sound like Annie, right? So then, like, then there's certain things that when we try to take these shortcuts and we're using AI and stuff, like, I don't know. I feel like people can pick up on the authenticity or lack thereof because it's like, no, no, I know her. I know what her deal is. Or I feel comfortable sharing people in my network with her because I know what she does. I know how she is. I know what she's like. I know how she's going to treat people. And I feel comfortable passing that person's name along, right? Like that kind of stuff is important.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. Okay, do you have a tool, app, or a resource that you just can't live without in your business?
A tool, an app, or a resource that I just can't live without. I mean, I think probably for me it would be my Acuity scheduling tool. So I've used this for a while. I use Squarespace as my website. Squarespace, I think Squarespace may have bought Acuity and I don't know, but it's like Calendly, right? And because I cannot tell you how inefficient I find it to go back and forth with people. I'm like, what time's good for you to meet? And oh, Thursday's good. How about at 3? No, well, do you mean 3 Eastern or 3 Pacific? I can't. I can't. And I live out of my calendar. So I really love that I can say to anyone, and like I said before, a big chunk of my time is spent networking with people and wanting to schedule times with them. So whether it's for relationship building activities or money making activities, I love being able to just pass off my calendar link and people can book a time with me. I know it's not glamorous, but it's so true.
But it really helps.
It
Yeah.
really helps, right? Like I'm not giving up that tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same thing like with the podcast. If I didn't have it set up so that people could automatically choose
Mhm.
their time, it would suck up way too much of my time to
Yeah.
get people scheduled. Just would
Yeah.
be impossible.
Yeah. And I feel like as a solopreneur, I mean, come on. I have to say, first runner up would be just Google Workspace in general. I find that is absolutely worth it nowadays, especially with whatever they're doing in Gemini, all of that stuff. It just seems like they are adding more and more features that I just get to take advantage of anyway. Um, so I'm also a big fan of that. I know that some people feel like Google is a huge company; it's the evil empire. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But for me as a solopreneur, I find it super helpful.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
I've never gotten that involved with Google Workspace, although I use Google a lot. I use Drive and other tools, but I haven't really invested the time in Google Workspace to really.
No, but that's what it is, right? It's like, the Google Drive and then your domain name, being able to use Gmail for your domain. I use Google Meet instead of Zoom.
Uh,
I like to have less tools in my tech stack if I can. If I use Google Meet, then I don't have to pay for Zoom because it's already incorporated with Google Workspace. So I don't know. It's already kind of there.
okay,
Thanks.
people go check out Google Workspace.
Yeah. If you don't have Google Workspace, check it out.
So if somebody came to you today and said, I'm thinking about starting a solopreneur business,
Woof.
be
Okay.
one piece of business or piece of advice you would give them.
I would say okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Um, start collecting email addresses. Many times people will come to me and they will say, I want to should I start a LinkedIn account or this or that? And I will usually say just for right now, just start collecting email addresses. So that way, then you can reach out to the people. These are people who are raising their hand right now and saying, I want to hear from you. I want to keep up with your journey and I want to see how your business evolves. You owe it to them to reach out to them every so often. And so collecting email addresses, I think it's very, very important and not glamorous. Not, like it's the same. I could have given you this advice 10, 12, 15 years ago, but I do think it is still vital.
Yeah, I agree. 125%. I have read often that, oh, email's dead and, don't bother. But, you know, a lot of sales are made because of consistent email content.
For sure. For sure. I have an email that goes out once a week and I have it scheduled to go out on Wednesdays. I will, if I hear from people, it is almost always on a Wednesday or a Thursday because I know partly from that like nurturing sequence that I have for people.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
all.
it's vital. Again, like it's so many of the things that I tout are not glamorous. They're just these are the three things I do every day and I try to do them more often than not. And what are the tools that are helpful? I don't know, things so that way I can save time on my calendar. Like I don't like spending a lot of money on tools. I was talking to the web designer Andy Rodenbaugh, who was another person who I helped to train in StoryBrand to become a certified guide. And when he was first starting, is that Andy? Is he calling right now?
Yes.
Is that him? That's Andy. He knows. But anyway, like he had said to me that when he was first starting out, and I know that I can say this because he recently shared this story on a podcast too, but he was like, I just feel like I'm spending so much money. I'm first getting started and I'm spending so much money. And I was like, you have got to get scrappy. Stop spending money on all of these tools. Like less tools is better. You don't need this big fancy thing. Just use a spreadsheet for now. Once you have some money coming in, then you can spend a little bit more money on tools, but just get scrappy. And I think that part of that comes from a theater background, right? Where like if you don't have money for sets or costumes or props, like I will mime for you a cup of tea. Like I will mime all of that stuff. I don't need them. I don't need sets of props. Like I don't need it. I can project. I don't even need a microphone, right? So it's figuring out what is that scrappy stuff that you can do in order to bring in more revenue and then then invest in the tools, but less is more.
Again, great advice, people. You don't need all of it. You don't need to spend all that money. So, what daily habits or routines help you keep focused and productive?
Yeah. So I find that I do like in the morning, waking up before everybody else does. I like to make a fancy schmancy pour over coffee. And that takes a while and I meditate during that time. I like to write for an hour. So I will either write blog content. That's when I wrote my book. It's from at the time it was from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Now I write from 7:30 to 8:30. But I find I need to write regularly. And what I do is I had to say to myself, like, I write every day for an hour. That's what I do. Even before I really started doing it. Like I write every day for an hour. That's what I do. Um, so those are some of the things. And then also um unloading the dishwasher, which seems not like it would fit. It's a square peg in a round hole. But because in the morning, I like to make sure that if the dishwasher is unloaded in the morning while I'm doing my pour over, after I do my meditation, before I write my gratitude journal, then I know that like during the course of breakfast and lunch and even like leading up to dinner, we're just constantly putting dishes back in. I don't have stuff piling up. I am able to then focus because like I work from home. So I could very easily lose 10 or 15 minutes doing the dishes. I'm not going to do that. I really think about when I used to have a job at the Container Store. Do you have Donna, you're based in Ohio?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have Container Stores near you?
My son actually worked there for a summer.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So like when I worked at the Container Store, you could not have your phone on you, right? Like you couldn't I couldn't do laundry when I was on my shift, right? And so when I started working from home, I had a lot of those same disciplines. And so I have found that I don't do my laundry, I don't do the dishes, I don't do that kind of stuff during my work time. And so one of the things that I do to make life a little bit easier in the morning is I make sure to unload the dishwasher so that way as I'm having lunch and, as the kids are going off to school, I'm not then eating into my writing time by dealing with breakfast dishes or things like that.
That's really smart because, Annie, I've always said you can't be distracted by the things in your house. You have to be focused. But I just pile the dishes in my sink. And then after dinner, I hate it because I have a stack of dishes that I have to load into the dishwasher. So I think I'm going to take on your.
But, it's not cool, right? So I understand, especially a year and a half ago or maybe 2 years ago, everyone was talking about their morning routines. And, and I was very proud of my morning routines. I was like, in the morning, I make my pour over coffee and I do my meditation. I write my gratitude journal and I take my supplements. All of that is true. All of that is still true. Fine. And Michael Hyatt, I know, says make sure you have your morning routine and stuff like that. Great. I love it. I like my full focus planner. Fine. But I realized not too long ago, I was like, if I don't unload the dishwasher in the morning, I feel like the whole rhythm is off for the day. And so I was like, I have to put this in my morning routine. It's not green smoothie, but it is something that I find really helps make sure that the rhythm of my day is correct.
That's awesome. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to initiate it tomorrow morning on a Saturday.
Feel free, Donna. Feel free. Send me a photo of your unloaded dishwasher. If you are watching this, just let me know that your dishwasher is unloaded. Put it in the comments.
There you go.
There we go. I will cheer you on.
And she's a great cheerleader, so do that. Do what she asks.
Yes. These things, it is not easy, right? We all have tigers chasing us. It's not just me, right? We all do. We all have stuff that we're dealing with. It is hard. It is not easy. And I just think it is important to every so often say to people, yeah, you freaking unloaded the dishwasher again this morning. Good for you.
That's awesome.
Good for you. It is a jungle out there.
Okay, tell the audience, do you have any exciting projects or launches coming up that you'd like to share?
I am right now making sure that I have way more video content. So I am creating a lot more videos. You might see me wearing this very same outfit. I've just recorded 10 videos today. So they're up on my YouTube channel, but you'll be able to find them on media/blog. So you can subscribe to my blog. I put blog content up there so here's a little tip. A blog post needs a video. Every video needs a blog post that helps you with search engine optimization, AI engine optimization. It just helps people stay on the page more. It helps people understand who you are as a solopreneur, right? So I'm a big fan of that. And I'm also a big fan of walking the walk and talking the talk. So I am really proud of my blog and being consistent with that. And that's where you'll find a lot more video content. So check out downstage.media/blog. You could subscribe to it, and then I'll just send the posts right to you. I don't know. I think it's every other Friday. I forget exactly what day it comes out, but that is also something that I'm just excited about. And again, it's not big and splashy. It's just, I'm just consistently doing the thing that I've been doing forever, but now I'm just adding some video to it.
There you go. And, I've said for years that small businesses have missed the boat because very few of them use video. And it's the fastest way for somebody to build that trust with you and feel like, hey, she is my girl. I trust her. I want to do business with her.
Alexa said she was going to be my girl, and it's true. A lot. And I am not necessarily for everyone. And it's really easy. If they see a video where I say your follower count does not matter. And if there are some people, I just had a meeting with somebody this week and I could see that they bristled. They were like, hey, can you help me increase my follower count? I was like, I don't know. I can help you actually bring in more leads with your content. I can figure that stuff out, but I don't know if I can help increase your followers because I don't really think it matters. And I could see that they weren't so into that. But that's why, oh yeah, if I put out a couple of rant videos that explain my point of view on that and how I've gotten to that point, then they would know that before they even took the meeting.
Exactly. Good for you. Okay. Where can people connect and learn more about what you do?
Yeah. So the best place to go, especially because it is not as intimidating as having to spell Figenshu. You could go to downstage.media. You'll be able to see my blog content on there and read about what it is that I do. You could also schedule a call with me, and I would be happy to give you some one-on-one content, thoughts, and insights, especially if you are watching this or listening to this podcast. I'd be happy to just leave it in the little form field there and just say like, yes, schedule a call. I heard you on Donna's podcast. I'd be happy to take some time for you. But yeah, downstage.media is where you can find all the things that I am doing and that I have.
Awesome. And folks, that will be in the show notes. So if you missed it, just listen to the podcast and look at the show notes.
Yeah, look at the notes, people.
Yeah. Annie, it has been a pleasure. I so enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you so much, Donna, for having me on. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, the person who is listening and watching. And yeah, Donna, we got to hang out soon.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening or watching another episode of Breaking Solo. And if you haven't done so already, please leave us a review and like the podcast and all the other things. All right. Thanks.